Okay, my name is Jarosz. I'm coming from Poland, and I will speak about good governance at the local level, new methods of governing in local self-governance. Here's my presentation plan. After a short introduction, I will say a few words about the theoretical concept of good governance, or governance generally. Then I will discuss its political dimension, then economic, social dimension, and at the end I will summarize it in few words. So, generally, I'm researching local governments in Poland and Germany. I wrote my PhD on how local governments develop within the post-communist transformation in Poland and former GDR or new German federal states. And now my current research about new methods which are used in local governments is also based on Polish and German experiences. The new methods of governing at the local level based on governance concept have been practiced in Western Europe for a long time. Only here in Eastern Europe, in post-socialist countries, it's something new. We can say we are now, at the moment, a kind of laboratory for different ways of dealing with problems. Well, because local governments in Eastern and Central Europe have, well, quite a short history of 25 years only. Whereas, for example, this different new methods of governing were introduced in Great Britain or West Germany already in the 70s and 80s. And it has to be underlined that governance concept has gained on popularity in the last years, and there is a lot of research being done on it currently. The term was developed by the World Bank in terms of development help or aid, and it was applied or developed for the local level after criticism of new public management. New public management was a concept developed in Great Britain, which presumed economization of public services, in saying very briefly, of course. So this new concept of governance is referring generally to power relations in different sectors, and it's based on cooperation between politics, economy, and society. Some theoretical concepts or explanations of this governance idea says that it's governing the network of many actors. So many different subjects, many different actors, like for example NGOs or business partners are involved in the process of governing or public services provision. It is actually it is relevant not only for local governments but for any power relations, also in companies, in of course state or regional dimension as well, as my predecessor already said. Well, I'm a political scientist, so what's important for me is that it redefines roles of politics. And now going to political dimension. Well, the main change is going from power over, so this hierarchical structure, to power to. So politics or political organs, political authorities have to be one of the partners and cooperate with other actors on the partnership terms, not necessarily on the power terms. And politics should coordinate the network. Well, so of course, politics in our terms, of course, local government has quite a strong mandate from the local community. It is elected. It is it has some competences which are, and tasks, of course, which are defined by the law regulations, and of course it has a tool to to put it into force. And of course, politics, like city councils or the mayor, of course, is decision-making, are decision-making bodies, and they make the decision which afterwards has to be put into force by administration or other organs or institutions. And here in this governance concept or good governance concept, it says that, well, politics make decisions, but it has to cooperate with other actors. For example, in recent years, I think in Lithuania is quite the same, but in Poland, almost every local government, we have 3 tiers local government in Poland with municipalities, counties, and the regions. So on all three levels, development strategies have been implemented, and such documents, well, are kind of such partnership relations mostly. Really, in many cases, they are developed with broad dialogue with local community, with different partners, of course, with business companies, with business association, and also, of course, and simply representatives of local community. Such development strategies, of course, define what kind of city, region, municipality we are, what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, what has to be done, and sometimes also how it has to be done, and what are the priorities for the development, what has to be done in the first time, what can be done later. And if we look at the decision being made in local governments which adopted such strategies, most of the decisions made afterwards are somehow realizing of such strategies. Of course, then we can, when we have general development strategies afterwards, we can implement also well, the programs in different sectors, like schools development sectors, or, for example, a program for building road infrastructure. Another point in this political dimension is e-government, or in this case, e-local government. First of all, it's an opportunity for transparency and communication. If in this new understanding of local reality, there is a huge network of different, huge and complicated network of different actors with different linkages, the communication is the key point. If the communication works properly, so if different partners can communicate and listen to each other, of course, then we can be much more successful. Of course, in also different type of involvement on different actors can be successful, and internet, of course, gives big opportunity for that. And also transparency is another point where all, for example, documents of local governments can be published. Everything that is done in the city council, the protocols, for example, but also some concepts produced by local administration can be published, and of course, information about meetings, events, and so on. And I must say, saying of course on Polish example, in many cases it is done. There are very well user-friendly internet pages where you can find all the information. Why the politics has or political institution has a key role in this new type of governing. First of all, it's a responsibility holder. Of course, I think that it is good that when some certain things can self-regulate and work on its own, but generally we can observe as well in the state dimension in recent years or even months that if everything is good, nobody wants the state. But if there is a crisis situation, the first responsible and first factor which has to take an action is the state, and in this case, of course, local government. That if, for example, there is a private company providing or organizing public transport, if everything okay, people are happy, and it can be in private hands. But if something goes wrong, then of course local government is, or the mayor is the first person to address any complaints. Of course, local government has to be quality supervisor and controller. In Great Britain, for example, when those different concepts of economizing public services at local level have been introduced, the biggest challenge appeared to provide a proper quality supervision and control, so that the services which are provided by the private partners are of a proper quality for the inhabitants, for the citizens. Of course, politics is final decision maker. If we consult something with local community or with NGOs or even involving business partners, well, the political institutions have to be final decision maker, or at least approve what has been the outcome of a discussion, deliberation. Politics, of course, again, is resources distributors. The local government has a budget, for example, where they decide how much money has to be spent on what. Of course, with all chances and limitations, because the public resources or simply financial means are of course limited. Of course, local government remains administrator and management. We cannot forget that local government is a kind of combination of political sphere where political decisions are being made. Also, there are different parties or local initiatives which are actors of politics, and they are discussing different problems and so on, but there is also this administratory part, and of course local governments are managing many institutions like schools, like different local companies providing local services and other things. Second part is economic dimension. In recent years, it's becoming, well, in German case, it was bit quicker. In Poland, I don't know, I must say, honestly, I don't know how it is now in Lithuania, but in Poland, this inclusion of business partners is happening right now very, very slowly, I must say. What can do business partners at the local level? Providing public services, of course, making investments and modernization activities, bringing capital, lowering cost of services, of course, and manage institutions of facilities. There are different tools for involving business partners, outsourcing of public services, public-private partnerships, concessions or contracting them, and it can be done in different sectors, or different tasks can be given: public transport, litter connection, water provisioners and sewage collection, schools, kindergartens, leisure or sports centers, cultural institutions, operating of facilities, and so on. The main challenge here is the main challenge here is developing legal institutional framework for such a cooperation, and overcoming psychological barriers, which appears a huge problem in Poland now, because right after a company, for example, is chosen, there are questions or even corruption allegations. Why this and not other company, and why in this form, and so on. So this is a big challenge still, develop forms which enable businesses to also make profit on cooperation with public sector, because business is working to gain profit. Again, quality control, which are already discussed, and over-economization of public services can be a threat in this field. Saying few words on social dimension. In last year, we can see pressure for involving local communities into decision-making processes. So it's called deliberative democracy. The Voting Act is not enough. People want to be involved in more activities, not only go every 4 years, elect the members of city council and the mayor, and then go home and do anything else. That's why dialogue with both on like two peers, with inhabitants and NGOs is needed. And it's a great chance for developing more efficient policies and solutions that are accepted by inhabitants. We can avoid the situation that we build a road and then it's ready, we spend €1 million, let's say, and then it has to be changed because something is wrong with the project and people cannot use it properly or are not happy with the outcome. Also, dialogue, of course, gives a chance to building compromise between different contradictory interests. And the main threat here is paralysis of decision. Tools of involving social partners, different consulting activities, meetings with inhabitants, public debates, internet opinion polls. Also in this term, internet gives a big opportunity. Yeah, focus groups or viewing the scene, I call it viewing the scene. It means that local administration representatives go together with representatives of inhabitants to see the place where, for example, car park should be built and then discuss how it should be built. Auxiliary units or neighborhood councils, another very good tool, permanent. People can work there permanently and be a consultative bodies for different neighborhood of a city. Legislative initiative, local referendum, which is more complicated, public hearing or brainstorming collection of ideas, and very popular tool in recent years in Poland, participatory budget. I'm going to run it, yes. Another part is, so these were the tools of involving like the whole community. And here also the NGOs has to be mentioned, which can be partners in discussion, can handle as an interest group, or can give expert assessment if there is an NGOs active in in a field in one specific field. They can be also service provider. They can run schools or hospices or cultural institutions, for example. And to summarize, governance concept is a chance for sustainable development. It can reduce cost tensions, include society in decision-making processes, use in quotation mark business for provision of services, but also as a source of capitals. Business partner, for example, in public partner, public partnerships, can, for example, become a building, renovate it, refurbish, and then install there an institution and manage it, getting some income. And of course, this concept, this cooperation with different partners provides a possibility of flexible reactions to dynamic reality, which is more and more complicated. In migration crisis, for example, from last month, we can observe how the states are being unfunctional and how they cannot react flexibly to very dynamic situation. And two last slides. As I said, I think the key role in this process still keeps the political dimension, which holds legal tools of power, coordinates other partners, of course, holds the responsibility for obeying the law and providing high quality of services, is final decision maker, and has also tools and abilities to react to crisis situations. Main challenges. First of all, openness to dialogue both from political and business or societal party, and building up coherent and operative system of dialogue with society and business partners, so that some activities can be repeatable, can be clear for everybody, and in this way operate. Thank you very much for your attention.